Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ask the Expert on Microsoft Teams Manageability. We hope you're learning a lot at Ignite, Spring Ignite, and getting a chance to watch many of our team sessions. And thank you in advance for adhering to our digital code of conduct shown on your screen as well as posted in the chat window. You can engage with our speakers by posting your questions in the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. And you can also use the like button to indicate your favorite questions so our speakers know which ones they need to answer first. Please be patient with us as we will try to get to as many questions as possible as they come in. And this session will be recorded by us. No need to record on your own. It will be posted to the Microsoft Ignite site after the show. And we have a great panel of Microsoft experts. Some are not pictured here, but we have several waiting to answer your questions, and as well our MVP community to help us out today. And Stephen Rose will be your moderator today. So now I will turn it over to Stephen.
Awesome. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We got a lot of folks in the room. We got a lot of questions already coming in. So this is our Ask the Experts Teams Management Center. So we are looking forward to talking about things like Team Admin Center UI, policies, app management, calling and device management, PowerShell, reporting, any of those areas that you want to get into. I'll be throwing the questions out to our experts, so just type them in. I'm going to read a good portion of these. We'll try to answer them live, and then there are some that we will pass out to our experts or to our MVPs and answer those questions online. So this is your great opportunity. We have MVPs, we have folks from our engineering team and our product team, so we're here for you today. So I'm going to start with a question from Dave C. that says, Teams usage reports, will we ever have the ability to sort columns? And I do know that you can export those into Power BI and other apps, Jira, etc., and those can sort. Did anybody want to add anything additional to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So just in general.
Who's talking?
This is Jamie.
Awesome,
hi,
Jamie.
everybody.
Thank you.
My name is Jamie. I used to be in Teams engineering. Now I work at a sister organization to Teams and have spent some time in Teams Admin Center, so to speak. Yeah, sorting. So here's the thing. The design goal of the product is for every column to be able to be sorted. That's the intent that we start off with. And if we're getting a complete set of data from a back end, then we can totally do that. It's no big deal because it's just, organizing information in a table. We're not getting the total set of data from the back end. In many cases, that's what's happening in reporting, that we're only getting the first N level of rows in a table. Then the sorting facility needs to be implemented by that back end. And we definitely have a asymmetry of capability there, meaning we still have a bunch of work to do. Know that the design goal is to be able to allow sort.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Jamie. Anything else you want to add to that? I think we're losing Jamie's audio there. I think we have lost Jamie's audio. So we will move on. Can you manage team membership via domain security group? Anybody want to take a crack at that one? This is from Bill. Anyone? All right, Bill, I guess we'll come back to you. All right. Are there plans to make the search experience in Teams Admin Center less awful? Ranit, I can see that you're replying to this post, so why don't I just have you go ahead and speak to it if you don't mind?
Yes, so the question, are there any plans to make the search experience in Team Admin Center less awful? So definitely we are aware of the challenges we have with the Teams search, and we are working to improve it dramatically. This is coming on the roadmap for this year. Still, we don't have a GA committed date, but we definitely will be publishing it this year, and this is coming, and we are working and concentrating on this domain.
Awesome, thank you. Harriet asks, most of our challenges with Teams relate to creating spaces with the right permissions for that audience without needing to create a myriad of teams. Is any work happening in the area of configuration and permissions that might be helpful? I would love to know a little bit more about creating spaces with the right permissions for that audience and what that issue is. Is it our general policies don't match up or not knowing the audience? So I'd love to have a little bit more, but if somebody has some thoughts on that or some best practices that we've seen, that would be great. Anyone from our team? Any of our MVPs or John want to jump in on that one? Mike Madrani, Adam?
Sorry, Stephen, I was responding to Bill's question that we didn't answer there. I was trying to get back to him. Can you repeat that?
Now I have to find it because I moved it down.
It's all good. And I can share
okay.
Bill's question around team membership.
Yeah, please go right ahead.
Domain security group. Unfortunately, the answer, right, if you want to actually use an existing domain security group, Teams is built off of M365 group. So you could figure out a way to integrate those two together, but you do need to have that M365 group created for Teams to be able to leverage it.
Got it.
If I can actually jump in on that one, I've actually had to do this for scenarios where an organization wanted an org-wide team, but they're an education institution, so it's not allowed in their tenant. So, and we've used the same feature a number of different ways. Effectively, you can create a Power Automate flow that looks at Azure Active Directory groups, so it can actually read security groups, and then you can have that then copy the members to a M365 group. So you can have it run on a scheduled basis, or as one changes, then it does it in the other. So it's, I guess, would be not supported. It's a workaround, but it does the job.
Awesome.
Great.
I think that's great. Perfect. Here's another one. Can we please get usage reports that are more current than 2 days old? Anyone want to talk about usage reports? Renee, does anybody from your team have an answer on that one? Why the delay for usage reports? Why does it take 48 hours for data to show up? Or is that a setting that someone has put in so far?
I'm not aware for this delay. We need to check it out maybe for a configurable or something that is configured not correctly. The report should be available after the meetings happen, the usage report. So please write your email and we will get back to you on this.
Renee,
Okay.
there is work that we're doing to have near real-time reporting for
Yes.
meetings in particular, and that is something that's currently in development. I
Right.
don't know if that's what this person was really looking at, though, because usage reports do require a period of time for them to be collated together. Essentially, we're not able to have usage reports on a kind of 5-minute basis because a whole different kind of cold pipeline that we have that data going through. It is reasonable, though, for it to be slightly faster than 2 days. That's a totally
Exactly.
reasonable. Yeah.
Exactly. So for the real time, and I saw also a question about real-time reporting. This is something that we announced at this Ignite. You are welcome also to visit the on-demand session on team management and be updated on all the new announcements for team management. One of them is the real-time reporting that we are calling, which means that we are providing data in a near real time for meetings that are on progress, which means that you can control and track the data that is coming in real time, and also troubleshoot for some problems during the meeting. This is used mainly to large events or executive meetings that you would like to track the data on the spot.
All right. Brett asks, I have not seen where the Teams policy and admin center is to change to OneDrive from Stream. Is it a global or group-based policy? Jamie, do you know that one?
Yeah, I don't think that that has been plumbed into Teams Admin Center. I don't remember where that config is though.
Yeah, it's not
It's
an
a
admin center, it's
PowerShell.
PowerShell only.
It's a
only
PowerShells, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it needs to be done though, because the switch has actually already been done globally for all tenants. So all tenants should be recording to OneDrive and SharePoint by default now.
Okay, awesome. Hang on. Will admins be able to get meeting attendance reports after the meeting ends?
We can do that today, right? You can go into Call Analytics and you can look up a meeting and you can see the participants of the meeting. So that capability is already in place. One of the things that we're doing to extend that even further is to provide a little bit more near real-time data for in-progress meetings. So the scenario being, if you have a meeting that's happening in your organization and that meeting isn't going well, there's some issue that is reported, then IT can go in and kind of see what's happening with that meeting and maybe help troubleshoot if there's some device or connectivity issues. That's absolutely in scope for one of the things we're looking at. But today you can go into Call Analytics and you can see meeting information. It is a little bit weird to get into it though. You got to get into it through a user participant view. One of the other things that we want to build in is getting into a meeting either through a meeting ID or through just a kind of flat list of meetings in an org, and to be able to search through those and then to be able to get into the meeting record that way.
Perfect. Pamela asks, is there an easy way to upload a file to a channel from a mobile device? And yes, you can take a document that is being stored on your local device or in your OneDrive or SharePoint, and that can be shared directly to Teams. And then that goes into the file repository, which is basically SharePoint on the back end. So that can be done. If you're not seeing it, take a look at your options. Like on an iPhone, you have to actually choose, one of the applicable share areas is Teams. So you do want to take a look at that, but yes, that feature is in there and you should be able to upload that directly. So if you're surfing the web or finding something you find interesting, want to share it with the team, you hit your share icon at the bottom, you should see share to Teams, and then you can just pick the group that you want to share it to. Will the app policies be allowed will the app policies be allowed to defined by group versus just setting up individuals? Tracy's asking this question.
Very, very popular question. So yeah, absolutely. That is something that we currently haven't planned. The fundamental question is kind of the manner in which we want to enable that group policy support. There's some complexities in the way that operation works, and so we're just kind of working through all those details. It's definitely something that we want to do.
Awesome. And Jamie, while I have you, can we prevent users or owners from renaming teams when we want to manage them from an outside management system? And I think that's kind of the key part of this is, what are we talking about from an outside management system? I'm assuming it's some sort of third-party management tool, but can we do that natively or through Intune today?
I'm not sure what the surface area is with Intune. I'd love it if one of the MVPs could jump in here, because I know this is a really common, the manner in which teams are named and managing that, I know is a really common customer requirement. There is some policy available on the groups layer, and I'm curious if some of the MVPs are still using that vector.
Unfortunately, there's nothing at the Intune level to be able to control that, and the groups level stuff that you're referring to. And again, there's also just a single policy for naming and expiration. It's kind of a one size fits all, and with naming, it's unfortunately either on or off for the entire tenant, whereas expiration we could be a little bit more selective with.
Yeah, along with that, if you're the owner of the Office 365 group, you have full access to that group and can manage it.
All right. Anything else to add to that?
I will add one thing as well, that you can add a prefix or suffix to, you can create your own naming convention and have a prefix or suffix. personally suggest to have a suffix because from a visibility of the team's name, if the team's name is too long, sometimes having a prefix will cut off the actual team name in the client. So come up with a strategy from a prefix suffix perspective, and you can create your teams that way.
All right. This is an interesting one.
Okay,
if you turn on public, oh, go right ahead.
I would like to raise one interesting question that came up here and to talk a little bit in general about it. So people are asking about device remote provisioning for devices in the Teams room. So I would like to let you know that this is also something new that we introduced in this Ignite event. We will be launching in April the remote provisioning for devices in Teams room that will enable us to control the device from the Team Admin Center. So this is something that is coming just across the board here.
All right, awesome. Will the Teams Admin Center have an option for sending alerts for Microsoft Teams Room to ticketing systems like ServiceNow or Big Panda via webhooks? My understanding with that is that is up to those providers because the ability to do the plugins and framework for that is relatively open, but that would be great if Jamie or someone else can answer that one more positively. But that is generally what my understanding is, up to our partners to choose to do that. And I know we do have some ServiceNow integration into Teams today. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There's been a few different areas that we've looked at that. I'd love it if that whoever had that question, if you could put that into user voice, that would be fantastic, because there's a lot of detail around the way that we can think about some of these third-party integrations, and we'd love to be able to make sure that when we evaluate these, that we're nailing the specific scenarios.
Okay. Will it be possible to assign multiple security groups to a meeting policy if we are using a different policy than the global default?
No, it still has to be mutually exclusive. So the way that the policy engine operates is that you have to have a single policy resolved to a single user, and if you have and the reason that we have the ranking or the weighting of groups is to be able to break those ties. So if you have somebody who's a member of two different groups, that one group has a higher weighting than another, and through that, if we allowed multiple policy assignments to a group, then it would I think it would be even harder to figure out what the effective policy is for a given user or a given resource. So I'd love to be able to hear, though, the scenario that you're prevented from implementing as a result of this architectural scenario that we have.
All right. Is there a roadmap ID for the Teams room remote supported item that was just referenced? I don't know if we know the exact roadmap ID, but if you do type in Teams room remote support, it should come up. And that's generally the best way to use that. Could you move a channel to a different team? Is there a way? I don't believe that we have a way to do that today. Jamie, do you know?
Not that I'm aware of. I wondered. I don't know if there are any kind of back of the from the behind the scenes kind of hacks or anything that you can do to it, but not that I'm aware of. At least not this one that's kind of built in with tooling. Any of the MVPs run into that as a Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a question I get quite a lot. There's nothing out of the box to be able to do that, but there are some, I guess, kind of like workaround solutions where effectively it's the same as the migration tools. They use an API behind the scenes to extract everything from an existing channel, and then they kind of replay it into a new channel, but it's not the same. So it's usually like the conversation comes back in as a HTML file or as the service account replaying the conversation with people. So it's not like for like, but it will kind of achieve your purpose depending on how much you're prepared to tolerate.
All right.
Appreciate that.
Here's a suggestion. Can we have a method to disable Outlook presence integration via install, switch, or client policy? This is problematic for orgs using different presence integrated applications. I think that's a great suggestion. I will point you to our user voice. User voice is a great way where you can see if other people have suggested that. If so, it upvotes it. And with user voice, once a request gets to a certain amount of votes, usually over 1,000, that's when engineering will start to take a look at it, rank it, see how many people are having that problem, etc. So I will encourage you to either upvote that on user voice or drop it into user voice. All right.
I would like to raise the topic, please.
Yeah, please.
Yes. So I saw some question about user guests and external user, which we are really have a lot of investment area around this topic these days. And I would like to let you know that we are just behind the corner of introducing guest user in our report. It will come into our roadmap really, really soon, and we will commit to that during this year. Also, we have we put some enhancements around placing guest users open as a default in our tenants in order to allow streamlined experience through guest users coming into the invited into the meetings. So it will be open by default from just came in February. And we will, along this year, also introduce the shared channels as we announce it really in a very top in our top news. The shared channels also allow us to have a lot of shared channels with external user and guest users in these channels, and to share only the information in the channel and not across the team. So those are the news around the guests that we will continue and invest in this area.
All right. Next question, this one's from Omar. Do we have plans to enable the ability to archive channels within a team? Anybody know if that is on the docket, the engineering docket?
As opposed to archiving the team, yeah.
Correct.
That one I'm not familiar with. And it's certainly an interesting scenario. I don't think that's something that's currently under plan. So yeah, definitely get that out onto user voice.
Okay, great. Is there a way to migrate posts from a channel to a new channel? I think that's a double click on the previous question, and the answer to that is I don't believe that we have a way to do that. Correct?
You can post to multiple channels though.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say that's where we can go back and edit a previous post and then post it to multiple channels, but you can't remove it from the source channel.
Got it. Is there a way to archive a team and keep it in cold storage once a project is completed? We may need to have the records available for an audit for certain periods of years. I think this is great, and it's a good opportunity to talk about how our audit policies work if you have done a hold or something like that on it. Jamie, John, Renee, any of you have an idea on that one?
I don't.
Yeah, I don't believe that you can. I don't believe there's any way to archive a team now. If there is a legal hold on a team, I know that content cannot be delayed, can be deleted. I know you can remove people from the team, but the team content will stay, but it still counts towards quota, et cetera. You can't put that into, like you can file like old SharePoint sites into Azure cold storage or something along that line. So that one I do know, and that's pretty much the extent of it. So no, but again, a great thing, and I encourage you to use your voice.
The other alternative, Stephen,
Yep.
with that, to get a backup solution, a cloud backup solution, and archive it that way.
Oh, great idea. Yeah, absolutely. Is there a way to DND, direct routing, or call plan for outside callers while being available, allowing internal teams to teams calls? Is there a way to do not disturb direct routing or call plan for outside callers while being available or allowing internal teams to teams calls? I have no clue on that one. That one comes from Vince.
Yeah, Vince, that's a really interesting scenario. I'd like to hear a little more about what you're trying to accomplish there. Yeah, there's all sorts of like weird things that we can do. But yeah, it's a really fascinating scenario. And like is it a time bound thing? Is it some users but not others, etc. generally black hole routing, from the PSTN is possible. Generally, you could, hide people behind, attendance and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's just it kind of depends upon what the scenario is. There's not something out of the box that's like, hey, turn off anything that comes in. I guess you could unplug the SBC, but
All right, we got about 5 minutes. We got about 5 minutes left. So I'm going to try to get through at least 2 more. Are there any licensing requirements to be able to add members of a group to a private team? I don't believe that there is. Is that correct?
Yeah. So
yeah, you don't need anything. So
no.
I think we're good. Is there a way for an admin to set the Teams client app language and settings for all users globally or programmatically, or does it have to follow the operating system locale? That's a great question.
Follows the OS.
Follows the OS. Okay.
Yep.
Regarding shared channels, will this be available to external guests at random or only be for federated parties? My understanding is they have to be either for external guests or guests who are connected via Azure AD. So there has to be an Azure AD connection to it. That is my understanding, but if otherwise, please comment.
Yeah, and I can chime in there, Stephen. I saw a couple other questions around what is the difference between guest access and shared channels, or for shared channels through Teams Connect. The shared channel, you will only have access to those collab services within that shared channel. Guest access, they will be able to be a part of the whole team. Stephen, if you added me to one of your, if I was external, you added me to a shared channel, I would only have access to that channel. I can't even see other resources of the team.
Perfect. All right. Let's see. Oh, interesting. This is one more for our mobile team, but do we have any plans to release Google Car integration with Teams? I know that we've released it now for CarPlay, and I think we are for Android Auto. I don't know about Google Car information. That would probably go to someone on the mobile team unless somebody here knows. All right. I noticed Teams versions vary in our organization and don't seem to update to the latest consistently. We've had to perform a crazy file swapping workaround to force it. Are there plans to make version updates happen more consistently? And I can, before I turn this one over, I can tell you that as we update, we tend to roll things out not all at once, but in waves. We get a little bit of feedback, we make sure things are good, and then we increase that. I'll let our engineering team, or let Jamie or Renee just jump on top of that one. But that's part of it, because if we push it out to everybody and there's a mistake, we have a lot of issues. So we do kind of roll it out in waves, get that feedback, make adjustments, fix, and continue to push out.
And we definitely have heard the feedback of making sure that IT has visibility into client version updates, that they have some sense of what versions are on what workstations, et cetera, and how those are affinitized to users. There's a whole bunch of work that's happening in that space. We're definitely aware of that feedback, and that is something in progress.
Awesome. And I do want to let folks know we have over 200 questions currently in the queue. So we're not ignoring any questions. We're just grabbing some at random. We will stay after the session and continue to answer questions for as long as we can. So be aware we're not picking anybody out or anything along that line. Sorry, Renee, you were going to say something. Go right ahead.
Yes, I just want to complete this session with a very important notification about our effort to help our customers to integrate more and more apps, and to reduce a lot of the effort of getting all kinds of security concerns and certifying the apps. We are moving into a certified program, a compliance program of Microsoft to certify app into Teams. Also simplifying the method of how to integrate those apps, assuring a simple way to integrate those apps while we keep them trusted for you. And
I seem to have lost Renee, but that's fine because it just hit 3:30. Sorry, Renee, we lost you there. So I do want to thank everybody again. I apologize. We so many questions. Oh, there you are. You're back, Renee. Did you want to finish your statement real quick before we close out here?
Yes. So I just wanted to do you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay.
we hear you.
So I just wanted to finalize and let you know that we are doing a lot of effort to simplify the method of integrating apps into Teams to allow your user to enjoy the full experience of apps through Teams together, and by certifying solutions and trusted apps that we are certifying. So this is important for our journey, and we will continue to push you there to integrate those apps into Teams.
Awesome. All right. Hang on, I'm answering one more question. Beautiful.
Steven,
We want to thank everybody. Yeah, go ahead, John.
I'll just do a quick plug. We can't get to all the questions, so the tech community is another great place to engage with all of us. We'll all be over there too to help answer your questions. So we'll keep answering, as Steven said, but also make sure you engage with us on the tech community.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. We apologize we couldn't get to every question, but we'll hang out. Thanks to Renee and Jamie and everybody else on the call. And we've got to head to our next session. So thanks, everybody.